We will now discuss and demonstrate how to submit PSTS records to CALPADS. There are three ways to submit PSTS records to CALPADS. First and faster process is through the batch file upload, where you can submit multiple records at once. For photo submission of CTE completers survey results, you may extract the file from your CSIS or use the PSTS batch file template to build your file and then upload it to CALPADS. Second is through online maintenance, where you can add PSTS records one at a time. However, this functionality is slower, and you should only use this when correcting remaining certification errors or report discrepancies related to PSTS. And of course, for end of year 4 submission, special education related PSTS survey data will come from your special ed system and push to CALPADS through the API. But of course, this is for SPED data during the end of year 4 submission. Just remember, the PSTS is a replacement type file. So regardless of the chosen method of submission, CALPADS will process and validate the records the same way. We will now demonstrate how to upload batch files for PSTS in CALPADS. From the CALPADS homepage, go to Upload View Submissions, click on File Upload, and CALPADS will route you to the File Upload page. Now under File Type, choose Post-Secondary Status PSTS. Enter the job name and locate the file that you want to upload. Once the file is chosen, click on Upload Files. Once a file is uploaded, CALPADS will route you to the View Submission page, where you'll see a notification at the top that says the file was uploaded successfully. Initially, CALPADS will not reflect the file that you just uploaded. You'll have to click on Apply Filter to see the newly uploaded file. Currently, the file is in queue. While we're waiting for the file to process, let's just discuss some characteristics of the PSTS file. First, the PSTS file is a replacement type file, meaning if you submit a new file, it will overwrite the previously posted records that you've uploaded. It uses the three data elements to determine if a record has to be erased or not. The three operational keys are education program participation type, reporting LEA, and academic year. So now let's click on Apply Filter again to see if our file status has updated. If you'll notice, the file status now automatically says Post Requested, even though you haven't clicked on the Post button yet. This is characteristic to the new file types that have been added to CALPADS as related to special education. So you have your special ed file, your student services file, and so the post-secondary status file also behaves the same way, because this file is also used to report special education students during the end of year submission. And so those files would come from your special education system and is pushed to CALPADS through API. So any record that passed validation is automatically posted, while rejected records are listed. So let's now click on View to look at the rejected records. So as always, when you click on View, CALPADS will provide you the details of the file. So you have here the summary, and you have the ability to click on View Submission Error Report to be able to see the list of errors. However, if you want to just stay in the UI in online maintenance, you can also do the same and just view the errors here. So you have the errors, and all of the errors are listed here. Now, if you want to see the record that passed, click on View Post Pass Records. Notice that Post All is grayed out. That's because CALPADS automatically posts PSTS records that pass validations. Now, to look at the PSTS records that pass validations, you can just scroll to View Post-Pass Records and then copy the SSID of the record that passed. You can then go to Online Maintenance, Student Data, search by SSID, enter the SSID, and click on Search. We have our usual student, Jimbo Jones. And so to look at the student's record, you scroll down and look at post-secondary status. So notice here that Jimbo Jones has a PSTS record associated to their career technical education, completer information, and one based on participation in California Partnership Academy. To view the details of the record, just click on Open, and you should be able to see the information. Since the PSTS also involves CTE-related information that comes from the SIS, you are able to modify, add new records through online maintenance. Okay? So you can either delete the record, change the education program type, change the post-secondary status code, click Validate and Post. So now that we are able to see the post-secondary status records of the student in CALPADS, let's now demonstrate how to add a new record. Let's say if the survey results show that there were multiple responses or multiple statuses of the student, you can either submit that through batch file, all of them, or you can add additional information through CALPADS. So to add those information, just go to post-secondary status and then click on Add New Record. So this model represents different fields, which is parallel to the columns you have on the batch template. So there are fields that are not required for Fall 2 if you're reporting CT pathway completers. So you have your reporting CELPA and local special education student ID. These two fields are relevant during end of year for PSTS submission. What is required for Fall 2 are the following. You have your school of attendance, local record ID, the education program participation type code, the post-secondary status code, and depending on the post-secondary status code, you can either populate the educational institution type or industry field. And then, of course, you have a post-high school credential. These three last fields were originally generated from the SNAP survey results. However, the questionnaire for that is now incorporated in the PSTS survey in CALPADS. So let's start populating a record here. So again, this is not end of year 4, and so this reporting CELPA field should be skipped. So choose school of attendance, CSIS training Berkeley High, local record ID would be the same as prior years. I skip local special education student ID, and then I have the education program participation type code. So as indicated by the choices here, these were the program participation that the student qualified for the survey. So if the student was a CTE pathway completer during his or her high school years, then you select the Career Technical Education 20 code. If they were participating in the California Partnership Academy, then use 10. Then for end of year 4, for special ed students, if you're doing it manually online in CalPads, then choose special education 30. So let's choose Career Technical Education 20. And post-secondary status code, this would be reflective of the survey results. So you have here employed. So let's choose employed 910. And I select industry field, which is based on the current field that the student is employed in. So let's just say engineering and architecture. And then if you have any post high school credential, any license based on that work, you could identify that as well, or any industry recognized credential. So you validate and post. Now, if the post-secondary status is based on education, let's say if the student was in a college or community college, then you have to populate the educational institution type, which is basically the tax status of that particular school that the student is attending. But since we're doing work related, then choose post-secondary status code 910, the industry field they are associated to, any indicators of industry recognized credentials, and then click on post. So now you have two records under student details section. Again, if you refer to the PSTS survey guide that is in the CALPADS user manual, you should be able to easily populate the fields based on the survey results.